I am in the process of getting rid of hundreds and hundreds of tapes in my VHS video movie collection. And let me tell you why. I'll also be sorting through various tapes in my collection and deciding what to keep and what to ditch. Hello there, cheeky chops. I'm Jason Arnott, the author of The Last Days of Jack Sparks' new novel Ghoster, and some Doctor Who stuff of the fictional and non-fictional varieties. I hope you're okay. I hope you and yours are well, and I'm still in lockdown like quite a lot of people. Some people seem to think the lockdown is basically over and the virus has magically gone away, but neither of those things have happened. I don't know about you, but lockdown makes me kind of reconsider my home and my environment because it becomes so important, particularly when you're in solo lockdown like I've been for 3 months now. And I've had an enormous VHS video collection for ages, for years and years. It kind of started in the mid-90s, or I guess maybe the late 80s when I started buying tapes from the local video rental shop. They'd have like a second-hand rack and you'd buy a tape for a £5 or a £10 or sometimes even, God forbid, 20 quid. And then when I moved to London from Suffolk, I went to all these video fairs and started buying all these tapes, and then I bought about 1,300 tapes off one collector in Leeds. It was madness. And I have sold a whole load on eBay over the years, just having kind of purges as you go. But now it feels time to really go the full Marie Kondo. Now, Marie Kondo is a Japanese home makeover expert whose primary concept seems to be getting everything you own together of one type and picking each item up within that category and deciding whether it sparks joy or not. So I've been going through all my tapes one by one. I've been cleaning them, dusting them, wiping as I go, and deciding whether things are going to stay, maybe stay, or definitely go via eBay or whatever. What I'm going to do in this video is show you a bit of the process. Me sorting through 15 tapes and making decisions on each of them. And actually, if you're one of my Patreon patrons who supports this channel with a monthly pledge and is therefore a legendary human being, you're going to see this video with 20 tapes assessed in it. Oh yes, and a little extra bit of very minor sauciness. So what can be better than that? The thing with my video collection, and indeed my DVD collection, and probably Blu-ray collection and vinyl collections, all the collections I have, there's just too much stuff in it. And so the stuff that you really love ends up getting swamped and you can't really see it. So what I would like to do now, what I am doing, is just having a big cull of anything that I don't absolutely love, keeping everything that was undeniable and makes me shudder at the very thought of getting rid of it. So the thinking is that if I boil everything down to just the stuff that I love and it's undeniable, then imagine how much nicer it's going to be to look around, for instance, this office of mine. When I speak to you, by the way, I'm sitting at my desk. My computer screen is here. So this is where I work. And it's a bit cluttered, you might have noticed. Yeah, and you can probably see that the shelves are already starting to thin out a bit. The thing with all these videos on the shelves as well is that they're too deep. I don't mean they're too deep as in T-O-O deep. They are 2 tapes deep. And so for every tape you see at the front, there's another one behind it. And so I kind of forget what's behind all the tapes. And that can be fun when you're sorting through them. But yeah, it's just too much tapes. I feel like I've babbled a bit now. It's necessary to set the scene, isn't it? But you don't want too much babble. So let's sort through some tapes right now. The first tape that I'm going to consider is Blood Beach. Now that looks rather nice, doesn't it? Sorry, I'm going to try not to wipe these too much, but they do need a bit of a wipe after a while just to get rid of a bit of dust and even kind of lingering video shop stuff that gets on them. This is a bit gorgeous, isn't it? Look at that. That's what you call a nice thick puffy spine. Yeah, I think that's a keeper. It's a keeper. I've never actually got around to watching the film apart from anything else, and I really should. Look, it's got John Saxon in it. What could be better than that? Yeah, that does look lovely. And I actually do have, I've already seen, while going through my collection, a German version of this, which is really nice. Maybe I'll throw in a quick shot of that so you can see what that looks like, because that's a really interesting case with on which the design is actually the front cover of the case. It hasn't got a sleeve inside it. The design has actually been printed onto the front cover. Okay, so we'll have that as the keep pile. Here we're going to have a maybe pile. Sorry to be a cop-out with that, but nevertheless it's important. And here is the get rid of pile. Next up, sudden death. As you can see, this is also on the same label as Blood Beach. Now, I've never watched this, and my first thought is, I'm not sure. Would I watch this? Soldiers of fortune who shoot for loot, slay for pay, and slash for cash. Someone was getting a reasonable word rate there and puts a little bit of thought into that blurb. Two masters with 1,000 ways to kill. A pair of panthers, yeah, blah, blah, blah. See, when I'm putting things onto the maybe pile, my plan is to watch them, is to at least, you know, put on the first 5-10 minutes and see whether actually I really like the film. And so, I don't know, I'm just not feeling this for some reason. I'm not feeling it. So I'm not going to put it on the maybe pile. It's going to go. It's going to go on the eBay or selling to fellow collectors pile. Now, here is one that I can see straight away is going on this pile. Why on earth is this in my collection, you might ask yourself. Oh, that's interesting. Stuck into the back there's like a newspaper article about this film. That's cute. And I can remember where I got this from. Oh, there, oh god. Yeah, is that the Radio Times? Looks like the Radio Times. I mean, it's all very nice. But I think the only reason I have this in my collection is that I saw it once in a little shop that used to be on St. James Street in Brighton. Little video shop run by quite an eccentric character who I believe is sadly no longer with us. And this is quite a rare tape. But the thing is, as a collector, you can kind of get, not suckered, but you can get a bit hung up on buying tapes just because they're rare. But just because they're rare doesn't mean they really belong in your collection and, you know, taking up your space in your house. And so I've got no interest in this film whatsoever, and that is definitely going on that pile. Now this is, I believe, an Australian tape of the popular fantasy movie Crowell. Is this? I think this is Australian. Anyway. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. It could be American, I don't know. I don't think I need this. Well, what I'll do is I'll check to make sure that I've got the UK version of this, and if I do, I'll add a little insert to show you. But I don't need this. I don't need I don't particularly like the cover and the design of it. So part of my rationale for these videos, whether or not I keep them, is A, whether I like the film, or whether I love the film. I have to love it really, or I love the box and the tape itself as a piece of art that just looks amazing. And of course the ideal, the absolute ideal, is that a tape will be both of these things. Okay, Kill Point. It's an action movie which I have seen, and this is actually the Dutch version of the tape. I'm pretty sure I've got the, actually I can see it. Let me get it out so I can show you, so to speak. So here is the English UK release of the tape. Bit of dust on the top there, look at that, eh? It's nice to have a bit of a clean as you go through as well. Now I happen to remember that when I remember watching this tape, that's a bit unfortunate. I probably made that worse, haven't I? Never mind. I remember watching this tape. I think we rented it, and when I was a kid, and the violence, it was only gun violence. It was kind of like big bloody bullet wounds, and yet the violence was really badly censored on this. And so that's why I have the Dutch tape of this, because you can always rely on the Dutch to censor nothing. God knows what it would take for the Dutch to actually censor anything. So I do like this, and I like this as well because it's the uncut version, so I'm going to keep these two. I mean, you know, it's quite a lot of real estate for one movie, and I think I'm going to make sure that I put this on the to watch pile to make sure that, you know, it's still worth having these in the collection. Nothing in the maybe pile so far, so I feel quite good. I feel like I'm being pretty decisive. Now, next up, Demon Cop. Yes, I'm just going to move these slightly out of the way. Look at that, eh? You don't see many movies like this, do you? About a cop who's also a demon. I mean, yeah, there was a certain period where, especially indie filmmakers, they took the word cop. I guess it was after Maniac Cop came out. Various filmmakers took the word cop and made sure they had it in their title. That you've got Samurai Cop and also Demon Cop, evidently. Now, it's a great cover, isn't it? But will I actually watch this? A string of gory murders, a mad scientist trying to warn of a horrifying blood disease that turns men into monsters. The good cop turned into the beast itself. Yeah. To be honest, it's just such a... Look at that, looks like there's some kind of bacteria growing in there. We'll have none of that. We'll soon head that off at the pass. Yes. There we go. Okay. These are silica gel sachets, by the way, that help stop tapes from getting white mold on the reels there, which can be a proper problem. I am going to watch this and see how I feel about it. So it's the first tape to go in the maybe pile. Hooray! Now, the next one you'll be excited to hear is a Video Nasty, a UK Video Nasty. Yes, one of the tapes that got banned in the early 80s, around 1983/84, when the powers that be in the UK threw their toys out of the pram because they realised that the VHS rental era had created shock horror, a lawless wild west of depravity and filth that was going to warp our children's minds. And so they got the police to come around and steal these off the shelves, and it was all really quite pathetic. So, Night of the Bloody Apes. Yeah, that's a lovely cover. You know, it's only just occurred to me that I'm not sure if that's a photo or artwork. I think maybe it is a photo. For some reason, all these years, I thought it was artwork, but when I look at it, it kind of looks like a photo. I've had to move the case up a bit here so you can't see this photo here. Yes, I'll put the full version in the Patreon version of this video though, so if you'd like to see what that picture has in it, then you can simply sign up as one of my patrons and support this channel for $1 plus per month. So yeah, Night of the Bloody Apes is definitely staying in the collection. Now, can the same be said for this? I remember buying this in Camden. That's the thing with a collection like this. Sometimes whenever you see a tape, you can remember where you bought it, and it kind of takes you back to a little part of your life. It's almost like a little diary, isn't it? But at the same time, that really doesn't mean that things should hang around forever. You really can't dwell on the past for too long. I like to have a balanced approach which allows me to stay connected to the past while also being very much in the present and thinking about the future too. Yeah, I think for a while this has been on my mind as a... Let's just have a look at the blurb. The three supermen leave for Africa. Their brief is to purchase an uranium mine before the Russians. Their mission hits trouble when they're captured by a delicious tribe of Amazon girls. Okay, it's starting to sound a little bit better. Whose queen decides to marry Scott. Actually, oh God, I just don't think... I can't see myself... See, the thing is, it's so easy to kid yourself about films, don't you find? With if you've got a collection of your own, you think, oh, I'll definitely watch that someday. But I could never imagine myself putting this on. Well, actually, I'm going to put it on the maybe pile, and I'm going to watch the first 10 minutes. And we'll see just how lovely those Amazons are, shall we? Yes. Next up is also on the Duran label. It's War of the Monsters. I love that Godzilla is his name is there as if he's an actor. Godzilla stars in War of the Monsters. Now, I do have a bit of a soft spot for monster movies. That's sort of. I mean, again, I'm not sure whether I'm kidding myself with my love of Godzilla type movies, because I kind of feel like they're one of those movies that or one genre of movie that I always think, oh yeah, I'm going to watch that someday, and then I kind of haven't. But you know, anything that has like Godzilla versus some kind of three-headed monster does kind of look like fun. And this is also, I think it's a really nice box, don't you agree? Let me know in comments what you think of some of these releases, and whether you think I'm crazy for getting rid of Sudden Death or Till the Clouds Roll By, or this Australian version of Crowell. It does look nice. It does look nice, doesn't it? Let's have a look at that. Oh, that's lovely. Oh, and a lovely embossed Duran box inside. Only collectors will probably understand that kind of thrill. I'm going to watch that. I'm being pretty tough on myself, to be honest, and I think that's the best way to be. Now, too many tapes here, so I'm going to clear these away and then we'll get back to business. And here we go again. Now, this has a kind of lithographic kind of quality to it. Can you see that? Hopefully you can. Yeah, I think you can. Is that George C. Scott? Okay, I like George C. Scott. In fact, I love him in Exorcist 3, which is one of my favourite movies of all time, and George C. Scott's performance in that film is wonderful. And of course, he was, you know, a very accomplished actor, and he's been in a lot of things. But will I ever watch Murders in the Rue Morgue? That's the thing. Have I just hung on to this because I think that one day I'm going to watch it because I like George C. Scott? A classic tale of murder from the master of mystery and suspense, Edgar Allan Poe. The romantic back streets of Paris have become the dead. Well, they kind of have. They've become the den for a blood-crazed butcher. You know what? I'm never going to watch that. I just know I won't. Even though that's a lovely cover, you know, I mean, we have to look at this in the context of me having, I mean, I've realised I have well over 1,000 tapes. Well over. And that's a bit crazy. So I'm going to sell that one. Yeah. The hearse. It's always the when you store tapes vertically on your shelves, it's always this top bit that gets caked in dust for obvious reasons. Okay, let's have a look at the hearse. It's not exactly, I definitely haven't seen it. Who's in it? Anyone? No one that I recognise at all. The hearse is driven to drive her insane. While fighting to maintain her sanity, a vacationing school teacher is finding her life threatened by a sinister, or in fact a sin sister, black hearse. She searches for the source of the supernatural power that guides the hearse towards death. Her death. Oh my god. Now, I must admit, I'm not a great big fan of horror movies that have someone who is constantly doubting throughout the whole film whether what they're seeing is reality, and then at the end you discover that it was just simply all a dream, or they were crazy, or they wake up in an asylum or something. I am not loving the look of that. I mean, it's a very nice looking thing, and if you've seen the hearse and you think it's great and I should really give it a watch, then please drop me a comment. Otherwise, it's going out the door. This is quite nice. You can tell, you can kind of tell as soon as you pick up a tape whether you like it or not, and I like that cover a lot. Now, I haven't seen this. I know it's quite a celebrated film, relatively speaking. It's got Ian Ogilvy, the Saint from the 70s, Boris Karloff, and the lovely Susan George. So that's a pleasure, isn't it? There we go. Oh, look at that for a lovely secondary design on the back. When a scientist perfects a means of controlling people's thoughts and experiencing their sensations, it's a bit Black Mirror-like, isn't it? It spells terror for Ian Ogilvy. Hold on, what's the character in the film is called Ian Ogilvy? I don't think so. Someone is in his mind and wants him to kill, needs him to kill, likes the feeling. A gripping and horrific story where the controllers are out of control and the climax is stunning. Well, I think I really like the design of this. It speaks to me, or shrieks to me if you prefer, and that's a really lovely looking tape, so I'm going to keep it, and I'm going to make a point of watching it. Ask me at some point in comments in the future, have you watched The Sorcerers yet, Jason? And I'll say, oh, no, I haven't actually. Thanks for the reminder. Fade to Black, which is a celebrated Metallica song. Not one that I particularly like, to be honest, but I don't really like power ballads of that nature. I mean, I know Fade to Black's good, but it's technically good, but I don't like it. I don't enjoy it. So there. Fade to Black. Will I enjoy this? Here's a film that I've never seen, and it's never really inspired me to watch it. Eric Binford delivers film cassettes and supplies in LA, but exists only to see movies and immerse himself in trivia, blah blah blah. Frequently bullied and betrayed, Eric is gripped by homicidal rage and launches a series of grotesque murders, all patterned after characters and incidents from his beloved movies. So basically a movie that plays into the hands of people who want to try and claim that horror movies make people kill people. Yes. It's a lovely tape. I mean, look at the thickness of that spine, but if I went by the thickness of spines, then I'd just keep everything. Maybe it's time I should watch this, because maybe it's great. Tell me what you think of this if you've seen it. If you'd like to see the extended version of this video in which I sort through 20 tapes, then consider joining my Patreon VIP club. Not only do you get early access to my videos here on YouTube whenever that is possible, but you also get other perks such as having your name featured at the end of this video if you pledge at a certain level. So maybe have a look in the video description, click on the Patreon link you'll find there, and maybe consider joining us. It would be lovely to see you. Thank you so much for watching this video, and until the next one, don't forget to embrace your obsession.